Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 134. And today we're going to be talking all about how you can be creating meaningful professional development for your entire district. That is right, as the school year comes to a close, you guys might be sitting here saying, I got 50 days left, I got 60 days left. What can I do to help out my faculty? How do I keep that motivation alive? And today we've got a great guest coming on today to talk all about how he's motivating his staff by creating a pretty awesome professional development day. But before we bring our guest on, I want to bring on the host of techimaginations.net, Miss Sue Vincent. How are you today, Sue? Welcome to the show.
Hey there, great to be back. And as we record, I am moving through spring break and enjoying the slower paced week.
Oh my goodness, so many people are going on spring break, coming off spring break. I had mine a few weeks ago. And you know, I never want to say this is the downhill side, because for many teachers, it's the uphill to get to finals, to get to state testing, to get all that stuff. But it is just a nice time to take a big, deep breath, isn't it, Sue?
Oh, absolutely. And I think in this case, with this year and the past year, I think it does a little bit feel like a downhill slide, because many have returned face-to-face or in some form of hybrid, and it just feels like a downhill slide to just get through, and hopefully we come out better on the other side and has some sort of normalcy come August and September.
I couldn't agree more. You know, last week we had a great show with Sarah Kiefer, and we talked all about co-teaching. We had so many great people on social media checking out that show and saying how interesting it was to hear about co-teaching from the teacher's point of view. I know I learned a few things that I brought into my class this week. But what did you think about episode 133, co-teaching from the teacher's point of view?
Oh my goodness, that was just awesome stuff. And like I said at the end of the episode, it kind of motivated me to get out there and share some of Laura and Sarah's ideas that they've used in their classroom with my teachers. So it was just awesome.
We want to hear what you guys think. Don't forget, we have our free TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network. You can go on over to teachercast.net/TCN form. That's teachercast.net/TCN form. Sign up today, free registration. Check out all the great stuff from our online courses to our weekly webinars to you name it. We've got it covered for you on Tech Coaches. And of course, we want to remind you guys to check us out over on Twitter at Ask the Tech Coach. Our guest today has been a 4th grade teacher and has been in education for the last 27 years. And for those playing at home, that's 7 years more than I have. He's also a featured speaker at TEDx Bratislava and is the co-host of the Bedley Bros podcast. Mr. Scott Bedley, how are you today? Welcome back to TeacherCast. It's good to see you, my friend.
It's great to be here, and I really appreciate you having me on today. I'm excited to talk about this topic.
I am so excited to have you on. We had a chance to reconnect a few weeks ago, and you said, Jeff, we're doing something pretty cool in my school district. We're doing a big PD thing. Talk to us a little bit about some of the stuff that you've got going on and what's going on with you these days.
Jeff, you know, I mean, it's a pandemic still, and that downhill slide. I'm trying to make it a slip and slide, so it's as much fun as possible. I think you know, kind of necessity pushes us to find new ways and innovate, right? So, some of the things that we were looking at is how do we help these teachers who have only experienced teaching, the 1st and 2nd year teachers who I'm talking about, have only kind of experienced, or most of their career has been spent teaching in a pandemic. You know, it's those teachers from last year, who got thrown into it halfway their first year. And then the new teachers that were hired this year to start teaching full-time in a pandemic, it's like, oh my God, I can't even, it was hard enough doing it normally, let alone figuring out all the stuff that they're having to navigate right now. And so we just looked at PD that we were providing for them through our program called Induction. It's a program that we provide for our new teachers, first and second year teachers. And I think what's happened is it just kind of spiraled out from there.
Was this an idea that you came up with or a group of people came up with? How did this whole thing originate?
Yeah, our head of induction program was going through some difficult times in her life and just said, "Hey, Scott, can you pick this up?" And I'm like, I like to help people. And I said, sure, I'll be happy to take this on. And so, and I had done this a few years ago in a different format. I don't think it's anything like earth shattering. But basically, I took the network that I had worked to create, and I don't like to call it that because really I see you, Jeff, and the other people that are helping out in this as just friends, educators that see another educator in need and just say, yes, I'll do this, and just put it out there and said, hey, if anyone wants to share some wisdom with some new teachers, just send me a message. And I put it on Facebook, a little bit on Twitter, and the response I got back was just it was incredible, from the different people that I've had a chance to meet and form relationships with. And I can't say how important, again, relationship is with kids, but also relationship with your coworkers and fellow educators. Man, if you're not out there doing that, and again, I hate to call it networking because I really consider the people that are doing this as friends first. But, in the sense that you build this network of people that you can help support each other through times like these and have a community of educators that are like-minded in a sense that they might have different expertise, but like-minded in the sense that they want to have a positive impact for students and for teachers that are trying and working really hard to make this happen.
So Scott, you said this is called Induction and it's for your first and second year teachers. Is this something they start off with at the beginning of their very first year that they join your district?
Yeah, so it's part of the requirements in our state, and I don't know how far it reaches, but in our state that the first and second year teachers are part of a program that helps support them because like research was showing that teachers tend to quit after the first few years because of difficulty, right? So this is a program originally developed by a professor at University of California, Irvine, and she said, "I want to, provide a support system for those early year teachers that gets them through those first years, establishes a good foundation, and then sends them off in their careers with that." And that's not anything I had anything to do with, except for I went through it way back when. Her name was Professor Booth Olson. It's her last name, Carol Booth Olson, and we just found ourselves here this year and saying, how do we do that? How do we still provide that for teachers that are teaching all virtually? Or in our district, we have some teachers that are back in a hybrid model. And a lot of our young teachers are in the face-to-face model, which is kind of like, they call it traditional, but it's not. It's like basically half day with the teacher, half day with an instructional aide that's kind of monitoring their progress to give parents a chance to be able to work. So, it's how do we make this PD experience when they've been online, they're exhausted, they've been looking at a screen all day, and here I'm going to provide more PD on a screen. How do I make it valuable for them in a way that empowers them and excites them and sends them back with some really easy to implement tools in either any kind of environment they're teaching in?
So what does this look like? What kind of topics are you covering? Like, where do you start and where do they end up by the end of it?
So I think it kind of goes back to, like reaching out, and Jeff volunteered and said, "Hey, Scott, if you need this, I'll help," and which I'm grateful. And it's just reaching out to the people that I know that have a good idea of what education's about and saying, "Hey, I trust you. Why don't you come in? And here's what we have. We have new teachers." And I think when we look at the needs of staff and are really sensitive to the needs of the people that we're serving, as far as when we're in those roles to provide professional development. And I don't mean putting out a Google form survey, but really thinking like, here's the circumstances, and critically thinking about what they're facing and what they might need, and empathizing really with them. I think we provide much better staff development than if we just try to check boxes and look at curriculum things. If we really look at people and think like, okay, what do they really need in these circumstances? And so that's what we did. And, just as far as like talking to Jeff and some of the other people that have presented this year, and this is the third of the like mini conferences is what we're calling it. And it's no different than like basically taking an ed camp and blending it with a regular conference and saying, okay, here's 15 to 20 sessions. It's a 2-hour block, and those sessions are 25 to 35 minutes, and the teachers get to choose. And so I'm a big believer in choice. I see it happen and positively impact the classroom. I see it positively impact me when I go to professional development, when I have choice at those conferences. And I think about like, okay, I want a choice. It's like what we are developed into as a society and a culture is we like choice, right? I mean, who doesn't like choice? The people that are listening to us right now are choosing to do that, right? They're not being forced to. And so I want to provide a choice for those teachers when they have to go to this conference, because it is required of them in their first 2 years. It sounds weird, but it's required because it wants to support them and get them off on the right start. So, but what's happened is that other teachers have heard about this in the district, and they start coming to it because they're like, oh, I get to go learn from Jeff Bradbury, like about what's going on with tech right now. I get to go learn from Jeff Charbonneau, like National Teacher of the Year, and he's going to talk about science education. I get to go learn, and you hear, Janine is going to talk about music and art. And so to provide those different opportunities and choice for these teachers, I think, to me, is what makes it so important and so successful. No magic potion.
So how do you promote that, right? Because let's just take what you just said. The teachers get to learn from, you name the person. These people that you speak of are, I hate the term edu celebrity, but they're only big people in the world that we live in. The
Right.
average teacher doesn't know Matt Miller. The average teacher doesn't know a Jeff Bradbury, they don't know these names. So how do you say to them, I mean, do you start throwing around people's bios? Do you start throwing sessions? Or like, how do you get buy-in for people to come in the afternoon and do these things? It's not ISTE. You're not looking at names and saying, I want to go to the Adam Bellows session or something like that, right? Like, how do you get buy-in for this?
I mean, part of it's my promotion, how excited people see me getting by saying, like, I cannot wait to have Kareem Neal, who you probably have never heard of if you're listening. And if you have, you know how amazing this man is. And I get a chance to talk in and be excited about these different people that I know, knowing that they're going to come in and blow people away. Knowing that they're going to come in and people are going to leave there just going, oh my gosh, that was so good. And that's the results we've gotten because we've done exit surveys for this. And the teachers, the new teachers, they certainly, us veterans don't maybe know all these names of those kind of edgy celebrities or edgy famous people, but we do know when we've left some good PD, right? We do know when we've left a good professor if we were in college, which most of these young teachers have their most current experience with. We do know what good teaching feels like and looks like. And when we get it, we are very satisfied with that. We leave with something that we can use that makes us better, that inspires us, that energizes us, and so that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm not necessarily looking at the lens, Jeff, of like promoting the people, but I'm more promoting like, hey, I'm going to provide for you choice, a variety of choices that meets the different levels and the different content areas. And I want to make sure that you walk away from this excited and better, so that no matter what happens for you, you leave here being a better teacher tomorrow than you came in. And that makes them feel successful and proud and happy. And I think I always feel my best when I have a great day teaching, having done this for as long as I have. I know those bad days and I know that they happen. But I also know those good days when you've gone through and you've inspired your kids, you're just like blown away. And you're just like, yes, like this is awesome. I love this. And so I want those new teachers that are getting this experience, or veteran teachers that are coming to it, to walk away and be able to use something and go, yes, this is exactly what I needed to inspire me or pump me up or make me, I don't know who that person was, but they did something really awesome for me, and I'm grateful for it.
So this brings up the question that Scott and I talked about the other day on the phone. He says, would you be interested in doing this? And of course I said, sure, of course I'd help. You're a friend, anything you need. And then I asked that question of, what would you like me to present about? Because as you know, it's not ISTE, it's not an ed camp, it's virtual. And then he goes and says, you only have 25 minutes. So if this was presented to you, what would you do as a session? Would you do 5 ways to use this Chrome extension? Would you do 5 Chrome extensions that do? Would you do, here's a project that, like, what would you be thinking? What should tech coaches be thinking if they've got like 25 minutes to, move a mountain here?
I mean, thinking what is kind of the trending thing right now of what most teachers are kind of looking for, teaching virtually, using Zoom, Google Meet, and using it to the most efficient manner, not just to have, okay, we've got to have morning meeting, but let's enhance our use of Zoom and Google Meet. Curation, note-taking, those types of things, how to encourage your students to be note takers digitally when you're teaching virtually, hybrid, face-to-face, combination thereof, keeping them organized. So ways to make your teacher's life more productive and efficient as they move forward. So those seem to be the trending topics to me if I were approached like that.
And what's your answer on that, Scott? What are some of the things that you're looking for across? I know you and I had talked about a few things. We're going to do like the Google Slides animations. We're going to do some video things. Like, what are you looking for around all of us that are going to be presented for you?
No, and Jeff, that's exactly it. So let me say something really fast. Those short sessions are intentional. They're intentional because I know those teachers are coming in after a long day. This event goes after school hours, so it's 4:30 till 6:30 p.m. our time, and I know they're coming in tired and exhausted. I know that the time of year it is, they're tired and exhausted. So the short sessions are meant to leave them wanting more rather than leave them burnt out, if that makes sense. I'd rather leave them saying, oh man, I wish that was longer, than man, that was too long. I think when I speak, Jeff, I always try to end my things like 10 minutes earlier than the time expected so that everyone goes, oh yeah, I get a little extra time for myself, because I think we all like that. As far as the content or what's being presented, I'll relate it back to what I do with kids in the classroom when they talk to me about Genius Hour projects. I just say, what makes you mad and you want change, or what are you passionate and like excited about right now? And so there's nothing I want more than Jeff Bradbury coming into a session to train new teachers on something he's excited about, pumped up on. Or that you really want change that's really been bugging you and you wish it would be different in the world of education. Here you have these young teachers with a chance to really inspire them and help set a foundation for what their future and the future of education looks like. And for me, in year 27, I'm like, I hope I don't have too much longer. I love it. I still love what I do. But, there's young teachers coming in right now, year 1 and 2, and I'm at year 27, 28. And it's like, man, I want this to be better. I want this to be left better when they take it over and I'm gone than when I got it. And the teachers left it for me great at that time, and now I want it better. I want it to keep improving. So I just usually, and like I said to you, Jeff, I said, well, what's exciting to you? What's most interesting to you right now? And what do you think you would feel excited about sharing? And to me, because of the time frame, it's like pick one thing that's really good and maybe go a little bit deeper, or pick like 3 things at most in a short session like that. Because again, they're going to go to 3 sessions, 4 sessions during that time. And so we don't want them leaving overwhelmed, but we do want them leaving with something that they can use the next day. Because as much as we would want to do like a pedagogical talk, or like something that's like deeper, or something that might be ed camp like, or something like that, and conversations about those things, is that the reality is they're just not there yet. And some are. I shouldn't say, I shouldn't group everyone together. Some are, but a lot just want something to help them do better tomorrow. Just what can I do that can excite my kids or engage my kids more virtually that I'm not doing right now? And so, that's what I've said to all the speakers is where's your wheelhouse? Stay in your lane, I think is like another cliche I could use right now. But where do you feel strong and that you feel like you could impact these young teachers?
It's good stuff to keep in mind, right? So because
Absolutely.
I mean, even now I'm listening to this going, okay, I have an hour presentation. Now we're doing it in a half an hour. What's the focus of something like this? And so now my thought is, okay, you're going to cut your stuff in half, but you want to give them something to walk away with.
Yes.
Is that a video? Is that a PDF? Is that, now I want to say to Scott, yeah, can you put me in touch with your PD team, your coaches, your whatever you have, so that way at least I can say, this is what we just learned. Go get them and have fun with that.
And Scott, I love how you put it of asking the presenter what they're excited about, because that's important because you have some presenters of, oh, I'm going to go do another presentation on Google Drive. Am I really going to be excited about that? But just asking Jeff, and then Jeff in turn then asking me, what are we excited about? And what would you present if you had the chance to present right now? So that's just something good to think about as tech coaches when we get ready to present. It doesn't always, we want it to be pertinent to the teacher, but sometimes they need to see our excitement in turn also.
Yeah, no, Susan, totally. I mean, that's what gets kids excited about our subject matter is when we're excited about it, right? So I when I sit in PD, when I see someone that's pumped up and excited about a tool, like I can't help but get some of that energy, especially right now, man, when things can be so down, and just to feel somebody that's excited about something that's so that's whatever it might be.
You just want to get to your computer and start using it, whether you have a reason to or not.
Yeah.
Scott, what advice do you have for anybody who's looking to do something like this, whether it be now, whether it be maybe a summertime, pick me up kind of a thing, or, you had an idea and now it's working. And you said, obviously this isn't the first rodeo. You've done this a couple of times, but for anybody out there that might be getting the bug after watching this, what would you say to those coaches or those teachers that want to put an organization like this together?
It kind of comes back to what I think about like good organizations, Jeff. It's you find good people and you trust them, and you give them the guidelines and the frames. I'm giving you time frame that's going to force you into like making decisions. Just like every day when I have to teach online, I only have a certain amount of time. I've been forced more than ever to pick what are my essentials this year and how can I keep the kids engaged in that essential time. So, you give those people that are good a framework and the freedom to be trusted and said, hey, there's a reason I'm having you do this. Or there's a reason I'm saying, yes, Jeff, I would love to have you. It's not because I don't want to have you, it's because I trust you and I know that you're going to come in and share something awesome for these teachers. So what is it to me to try to force you into a box? Now, you were great because you're like, hey, I could do this, this, and this. And so it helped me to try to kind of point you in the direction of where I think our staff was at and what trainings I know we've had in the past and what might kind of take them a little bit further or stretch them a little bit in a certain way. But I and those kind of questions are good. But I think finding good people and then kind of getting out of their way, giving them the frameworks that you need to feel comfortable, safe, if there's guidelines within your school district, if you have professional development already set in a plan for the year and you're trying to aim at certain targets, give them that framework. But good people are going to find ways to do and find the creative, innovative way inside that framework, inside that box, to inspire other people. And that's just kind of how I see that planning is. I think there's not enough trusting of each other, and then we that helps lower the bar almost.
And so it just goes to show that if you have an idea to help out your teachers, go do it.
Yes,
we've talked about myself in my own district where we're creating a brand new teacher orientation program to help them learn not only what it takes to be a staff member from the HR side, but also from the ed tech side. And here's another great example that Scott and his district is putting together. And you know what? I'm sure we have tech coaches out there that want to learn how to do this. or even are trying this on their own. And of course, we are glad that we're here. We also have our TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network, where you can check out everything over at teachercast.net/TCN forum for Tech Coach Network. Check that out, fill it out. Of course, we have our Wednesday roundtables. And Sue, there's a lot of great things out there for tech coaches as we wrap up this year and going on. You've got a great YouTube channel. What's going on with you and over at Tech Imaginations?
Well, I didn't put out a YouTube video this week because of spring break, but I've got a cool one coming up. The whole rage right now is Google has just let out for Google Classroom the text editing features. So you will hear more about that in my Tech Tip Tuesday video coming up this next week.
Oh, and Scott, I know you've got a lot of things going on outside of school. You had a podcast. What's the right verb on this one?
It's still alive. It's still there, Jeff. We haven't recorded in a while. We've been putting a lot of energy. I think it's called the Bedley Brothers. We've been around, I don't know, 8+ years now, and have some great archived guests. Some of them that I would say go listen to are any of the episodes with John Hattie, Dr. John Hattie's view on virtual teaching, and some of the things that he's shared on our show I sit there and I'm blown away and say, yes, I just learned something from this that I can take away. But also, I've been really involved and excited about this new upcoming tool for environmental education called Green Guardians. And if you search Green Guardians around education, you'll check them out. It's a really cool new thing that I'm a part of. And then my number one thing always, Jeff, is play and how important play is for kids. And I think we're seeing that this year more than anything. And we started a movement a few years ago called Global School Play Day that's grown to over 500,000 kids from 75 plus nations on one day, kind of making it a day of awareness. We're actually, Jeff, I'll announce it here, we're expanding it to 2 days.
Oh.
We're going to be announcing our September date for Global School Play Day. Normally it's the first Wednesday in February, and it will be. But that's great for the Northern Hemisphere. The Southern Hemisphere, not so great because that's their summertime. And for some Northern Hemisphere, that's winter time, too cold. So we're going to be having 2 Global School Play Days, one in September coming up. And kind of it's going to be great to celebrate as more of us get to go back to a more normal education, to give those kids a chance to socialize and play together and kind of get back some of that time that's been stolen from their youth.
That is a great thing.
Great
and
stuff.
Always great hearing the updates. And Scott, thanks so much for your time. One last time, Twitter, Facebook, where do we find you?
You can always contact me at SCOTTEACH, Scott Each, or Scott Teach, depending on how you want to pronounce it, on Twitters. And also, if you went to globalschoolplayday.com or GS Playday on most social media, you can connect me there. I do most of the promotion of social media for that movement as well. And then check out Green Guardians. I think it's a really kind of like a new cutting edge thing that I think people are going to be looking at as far as like environmental justice and how do we understand and learn about our environment in a different, unique way than just, that's been done before. So.
Very, very nice. And Sue, where can we learn more about the great things that you're doing?
Well, find me at my website, blog, video, techimaginations.net, and I'm on Twitter at SV314DWS.
And of course, check out all the great stuff happening over here on the podcast at AskTheTechCoach.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach. And we have our free TeacherCast Tech Coaches Network, all there for you guys to check out as we go through the rest of the school year and beyond. So on behalf of Scott and Sue and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.